Okay, boys, here we go again for another lesson. This one actually is going to be an add-on to something that I was watching earlier, a video from Simon Sinek, who is an amazing author, wrote The Power of Why, among a series of other books. And he recently put out a video, it's a 2-minute video that I'll link in the description down below. So go ahead and check this video out, where he talks about a conversation he had with these Navy SEALs around training, specifically around how they picked who got into development group or SEAL Team 6. And he talked about the realization that they told him how they had this X and Y axis where on one side they had performance and on the other side they had trust. So on the X-axis performance, the Y-axis trust. And they said that it broke down into 4 quadrants. You had the people with high performance and low trust, high performance, high trust, low performance, high trust, and low performance, low trust. And he said that it was obvious that no one wants to work with the people that are low performance, low trust, and everyone wants to work with people that are high performance, high trust. And what the distinction that they said was that performance was performance on the battlefield, and trust was, as we used to say, I'll trust you with my life, but I won't trust you with my money or my wife. That concept of how you performed off the battlefield, right? Because ultimately to get into the SEALs, you're going to be high performance, but not everyone, every SEAL I know, I was going to trust with my money or my wife. And that was their actions off the battlefield. And the interesting distinction that he made was that when it comes to now the quadrants of high performance, low trust, or mid to low performance, high trust, they would select for mid performance or low, even mediocre. Because again, this is tailored to already all high performers, but middle performance, even lower performance, high trust was better than high performance, low trust. And the distinction that he made was saying that when we look at the corporate space, right, business, we only reward and really track performance. We don't track trust. And so ultimately, we create organizations that have people that may be high performance but low trust, which creates a super caustic environment. The other thing that he didn't talk about that I thought was really important is when you're picking your leader, your manager, right? Your people that are in charge, from the perspective of a SEAL, that would be me as an officer. Would you want high performance officers or mid to low performance officers? Ultimately, mid to low performance officers with super high trust are what you want, because an officer that has high performance is going to want to take action, right? So is going to want to be in the leading. And as we've learned in previous lessons, that managers, their job is to create and espouse leadership, not to lead themselves. So you want a manager that is in that mid performance, right? They're capable, but ultimately it's all about trust. The interesting thing that I wanted to tie together was a conversation that we've been in around teams, and that when it comes to teams, any 2 or more individuals that are coordinating action to create a different or shared future, right? That distinction of teams we've talked about before. We've talked about 2 critical ingredients for the creation of teams. One critical ingredient, the bricks of your indestructible team house, is all going to be about the production of value. So as an individual, if I want to be included onto a high functioning team, I have to be of value. That value has to be deemed worthwhile by the group, has to fill a purpose, which fills the bigger purpose of the team. So that's one side of it. And I think we can equate that to performance, right? You have to be able to perform in order to be included on a team. And ultimately, if you want to increase the performance of your team or the teams that you're on, you have to increase your performance. Now, the second half of that equation is all about connection. And I've talked about if performance or value are the bricks of high functioning teams, then connection is the mortar that holds it together. And ultimately, you could have a house with really heavy bricks, right? Good high performers, and it would be relatively sound. But too much force, and even those heavy bricks are going to move without the mortar in between them. So being able to understand that we have to put as much effort into the connections that we create on our teams, and in doing that, right, we look at that in Simon Sinek's example as trust. The more connections we put into trust, the more ability we produce in trust and connections, the stronger that our teams are going to be. And ultimately, as a leader on a team, or using the language that we use, a manager of a team, that trust and that connection is the most important part. Performance, you have to have at least mediocre performance, but performance isn't nearly as important as creating that connection and trust. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight, and how would we apply that into your life is that anywhere you need to increase either the performance of a team or your performance on a team, understanding that it isn't just about performance, that it is as much about creating connection and trust with those on your team, and ultimately that's what holds a whole team together.